Our next guest is in the studio. And, Jano, you remember, I don't know whether you've seen on social media, there's been a photo that's been doing the rounds of young men and some women on, I think they say it's on a weekend, they're university students, and they're having a drink for the weekend. And there's one guy there who has a soda in the photo.
Yeah.
And they're like, and
that's his Mwenjoyo.
Yeah, this guy, that's his Mwenjoyo.
Yeah.
The guy, the young man then, is John Buddy.
Yes.
Right? If you look at that photo and you look at our next guest, you will think it's actually the same chap.
They sound alike as well. Even
alike.
that laugh. Davis anashindwa sasa.
Hey, our next guest is the future cabinet secretary for the National Treasury.
Amen.
Or maybe the future national chairman of the ODM party.
Yes.
And then he'll be donated into a government to be an expert. Currently, he's the rapporteur of the ODM Youth League. His name is Davis Oluoch Odiabo. Davis, karibu sana.
Thank you so much, Ladi. Yes.
Is your last name Buddy? Are you related?
Many people have told me that, but John Buddy is from the island of Suba. But I've never been there. I was born in Nyakach, somewhere called the Plateau of Nyabondo. I've never been to Suba, but many people have told me that I look like John Buddy, I speak like him, and even what you've said, many people have said that I'm going to be the next chairperson of ODM one day.
Yeah.
But
if you continue on this path you're on.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
What's your profession? Are you in accounts?
That is where I differ with John Buddy.
Okay.
I went to Masai Mara University and I studied Bachelor's of Science in Entrepreneurship because at that time people were telling me that if you go to university, you will not get a job. So I wanted to know the world of business, of creative business. How do one come up with an idea and how do one birth this idea and then it becomes a reality? I really wanted to know that other side of the world. So I studied Bachelor's of Science in Entrepreneurship from Masai Mara University. I was there from 2016 to the year 2020. I graduated with the second class honors upper division. I didn't manage to get first class. Yes. Yes.
And also, what do you do now?
So currently, I volunteer at ODM as a rapporteur for the Orange Democratic Movement Youth League. They scouted me immediately after university. I've been there from 2021 to 2025. I'm also the Secretary General of Inter-Parties Youth Forum. This is a caucus that brings together all youth leagues in Kenya. And lately, I've been given a position at IFRI. And Latif, IFRI is International Federation of Liberal Youth. This is a caucus that brings together all liberal youth leagues in the world. So I help them manage the African program. They have the African program, the European program, the Latin American program, the female leadership program. So I manage, I help them run the African program. So ODM is part of the liberal family. So ODM Youth League is also part of the International Liberal Network. Yes.
Before we continue, I want to share the day's quote because I want to come back and ask him how these worlds feed into each other and how sometimes they go in opposite directions. Because those are many hats to wear. So I just wonder how. But today's quote is by Koleka, here it is. Yes, Koleka Putuma from South Africa. In one of her collection of poems in 2017, she said, "The people are tired of waiting for tomorrow." Do you agree?
I agree.
Yeah?
Yes.
For you, it's young people.
Absolutely.
Tired of waiting for tomorrow.
Of course.
Because they're saying tomorrow should be today. We can't keep waiting for tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah. So I want to go back to what Eric just asked you about what you do. Are those three hats? He counted three. Those are three hats.
Yes.
Yeah. So how do these...
Rapporteur, ODM Youth League, Secretary General, Inter-Parties Youth Forum, and a member of the International Federation of Liberal Youth.
Yes.
So where do they come together? And then where do they sometimes pull in different directions?
They pulled in different directions, more so in 2024. More so, you see, I don't look Gen Z. I always say this. I don't look Gen Z, but I am Gen Z. I was born in late 1997. And last year, the young people went on the streets, to the streets. And what I can say is that the young people at some point were pulling from some direction, and the party was also pulling from some direction. So as a Secretary General of Inter-Parties Youth Forum, this is a caucus that brings together all youth leagues in Kenya. They had a position as a caucus. Then the ODM party also had a caucus. So as a rapporteur of the ODM Youth League, I was also mandated to write the ODM Youth League reports. And the Youth League, the party also had a certain direction. So at that point, they pulled to different directions. But most of the time, they pull to the same direction. And what I always say is that the aspirations of young people, whether you are in Turkana or in Kisumu or in Garissa or in Lamu, the aspirations of the young people that unite us are much more than what divides us as a youth. So most of the time, these things pull together. And what I've learned, Latif and Lynette, is that these aspirations are common, whether you go to Tanzania, or whether you are in London, or whether you are in Paris, whether you are in Lebanon or in Nepal. Most of these aspirations are the same. Most young people want quality education, quality healthcare, dignity, and a prosperous future. And most of them want good wealth. And if you're a man or a young man, you want a good wife, and if you're a lady, you want a good husband and a good car. It is there. Some people even want private jet. Yes. So most of these things pull together more than
they pull apart.
Yes.
So you give us the experience of last year, and you said in 2024 things came to a head somehow, because as you are giving your rapporteur report on what was happening, and the party had a different opinion. What was it that the youth in ODM felt in 2024?
The youth in ODM felt the same thing as what any other young person in this country felt. And Latif and Lynette, I can tell you that I was also on the streets. I was on the street in 2024, June 25th, when we marched to Parliament. I was on the street this year on June 25th, when we were commemorating those who died. I was actually on the street on Sabasaba this year. So the issues that the young people raised are the same issues that the young people in ODM are feeling up to now. So that one, I cannot beat around the bush.
That's a very interesting place. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Eric. You wanted to continue that thread.
I just wanted to say, Janet has been saying, in all our conversations, Janet Bogwa keeps saying, I hear what the youth are raising, and I see like the leadership is not hearing what the youth are raising. As the youth and among the leaders of the youth in ODM, and you're saying that you resonated with what the youth across the country were saying, do you feel like the leaders of ODM understood what the youth were saying?
I think also in ODM, there were people at that time who were opposed to ODM joining broad-based, and there were others who were proposed to it. So we resonated with the leaders who were opposed to us joining the government. Until later, when the party leader explained it to us, and then even as young people, we saw the bigger picture. Because you see, Latif, ODM is a center-left social democratic party. So we preach progressive, but moderate progressive. We call for reforms, but democratic reforms. We are not in the far left. We are not radicals. So at that time, the country was pulling apart, and there was a feeling that we needed to come in and help stabilize the country. So until then, we actually resonated with the party leader. But Latif, I can tell you that there were voices, and even to date, the Secretary General still insists that the party need to come back to its ideology. We have some people who still believe in ODM, and we believe that ODM is still stronger as it was.
As an opposition party?
Yes.
Than as a broad-based party?
Latif, I want to say broad-based came in because we wanted to save the nation. But we are still there to check the government. Yes, we still do some good work.
You've said a few interesting things. Is that at some point, it's almost like from last year, there's been a faction of people, not even necessarily just in ODM, but in various parties who've taken a radical shift. Whereas it was, you know, it was essentially based on being moderate left. Moderate left and radical is different. I sometimes think I'm a moderate left person. It's true. I do think sometimes.
And then sometimes you become radical.
Yes. I think last year, something in me was trying to reconcile what was that I was feeling. And it was different from what I felt before. And people fear the word radical. It's not all bad. It has a negative connotation because of how radicalism has been talked about for many, many decades. So I don't know that I've ever seen, I think a lot of parties now are dealing with factions that are going radical. I mean, we're seeing, for example, Kenya Moja, you know, which has still, the Secretary General of ODM is a part of it. And some may argue, but I think their staunch is radical. We need to shift things completely. I just wonder how those two can then live together. When you have a radical shift within a camp, and then I think, Davis, and correct me if I'm wrong, you come across as moderate left. There's still a moderate in you.
Yes.
You haven't radicalized. How do you sit on a table with your radical colleagues? What conversations are you having?
Janet, ODM has different organs. We have the Central Management Committee. I think there sits 15 people. We have a youth leader there, John Ketora. We have the Women League president there, the party leader, the deputy party leaders, the chairperson, the executive director. We have the neck of the party, we have the delegates conference, and the NGC, the National Governing Council. And I think ODM being democratic, we entertain or we allow all divergent views. But in the long run, we must come up with one resolution. And after the deliberations, after the disagreements, I've had the opportunity to attend a Central Management Committee meeting myself and a parliamentary group meeting. And I've seen how those people debate inside there. Actually, they disagree very fiercely inside there. You see Honorable Sifuna disagreeing with Honorable John Mbadi then, and disagreeing with Wandai then, and disagreeing with Honorable Joe then. But after that, they come up with one resolution. So in the long run, they always merge these thoughts and come up with one resolution, which is always read by the Secretary General. Yes. So I think we welcome the divergent ideas, but in the long run, as a party, we must come up with one resolution. Yes.
To read from the same script.
Yes, yes.
A lot of people are pushing for radical change. They're saying Kenya, as it's going, needs a complete overhaul in terms of how service delivery is carried out, in terms of leadership. So give me a scenario where there's a push to go radical. First of all, do you agree? Do you agree that there needs to be a radical shift in our politics and our leadership?
We actually need radical shift because I think in 1963 we had a radical shift which gave us independence. We then had some radical shifts in the 80s, and we had a new constitution in 2010. And I think Kenya is ripe for another radical shift. We need to look into our vision 2030. Are we in the right trail? Are we in the wrong track? And then after that, we need to ask Kenya. And if you follow me, I did a press conference with my fellow youth leaders, and we asked, is Kenya still the pride of Africa? Is what our forefathers, the aspiration of our forefathers on the national anthem, oh God bless this nation, may we dwell in unity, peace and liberty, plenty be found within our borders. Is plenty within our borders? Are we living in unity? Is liberty and blah, blah, blah? And so what I'm saying, we are ripe for radical shift. In terms of the leadership of this country, we need to overhaul some system there. Because some people have stayed for a very long time and there are no new ideas they're bringing on board. So we need a radical shift. And Janet, what I want to say is that this radical shift should not be in vain. We should not replace rotten eggs with, I don't know what is much worse than other rotten eggs. Yes, so what I'm feeling, we need a new cohort of leadership, new cohort of systems and institutions, and that will take us to a new level as a country. And Janet, I want to say that as a country, looking at all the presidential aspirants that have so far developed interests, I'm not listening to a new candidate who imagines a new Kenya, who visualizes how this country could be. What these people are giving us are narratives such as one term or two term or Kasongo Yeye or any other thing, but they are not giving us and Janet and Latif, you should interview one of my friends called Ivy Muchoki. Muchoki is coming with something called Viable Alternative Republic. How could this country look like in the next 30 years or in the next 20 years or in the next 10 years? That is what we should be listening from these candidates who want to run for president in the year 2027, or some who are talking about 2032 and 2037. So we should be talking about ideas, about the idea of this new Kenya, not about individuals.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me ask you, how does Ivy envision us getting into this alternative republic?
I haven't talked
through an election. Is it
through a conversation first? I think that is what she's first suggesting. That can we have a conversation as a country? This conversation should bring together all the generations and all the sectors and experts. Should bring Eric Latif from the Media Council, should bring what the farmers, what are the people in Turkana saying, what are the people living in the slums saying, what are the people living in my village in Yakach saying, what are the mothers saying, what are the teachers saying, is their salary enough, yet they're doing a lot of work, what are the police saying, where do the police live, have we heard of the stories of the police, do we listen to them? By the way, what is the side of President Ruto? Is he genuine? Or are we judging him wrongly? Can we come to a table and envision a Kenya as all of us? But then sometimes I look at this.
Once we do that, then what?
We come up with a plan. Like something like the Vision 2060. And say that now, going forward, this is how we want this country to look like. This is how we want this country to look like in terms of infrastructure, in terms of healthcare, in terms of education, in terms of our freedoms and human rights, in terms of our political parties, in terms of gender, in terms of digital medias, in terms of our constitution, in terms of police reforms. Eric and Janet, in terms of devolution.
Okay.
Yes.
That sounds to me like future republic, not viable alternative republic.
It starts somewhere.
Viable alternative republic is actually what, Janet, you've been asking.
Yes.
The radical bit of it.
Yes.
Because everything else is, moderate, leftist. Moderate is, we are following, we are looking at how do we progressively get there. And you said ODM is that. It's a center-left, socialist, progressive party.
Yes.
We shall get there eventually. We shall work with the systems that are there. We shall go and try and tweak the systems and change the systems. Radicalists, the far lefts and the far rights, there's only one way. And that there's no progression. It's now.
It's now. Yeah. Are we ready for that? I often wonder. I think there was a moment.
Yes.
I think we recognize that something needs to fundamentally shift. Now, fundamentally shift doesn't necessarily translate to radical for some people. But radical would mean, for example, if you're looking at farming, you'd say we are going to do away with anything that interferes with anything that needs to be bought or imported. No, we're going back to doing this way. I'm trying to think of some of the radical
We shall
things.
grow our own food with our own seed.
Yeah.
What is I don't find the difference. Let us sit down and say, by the way,
progressive captures both. It says
let us sit down
50-50.
on this table, on this conference hall. We can sit down and say we don't want President Ruto. We don't want ODM, Orange Democratic Movement Party. We don't want 91 political parties. We don't want 47 counties. We need one county or 13 counties. So the radical shift must start somewhere. It must be organized. Like what I'm feeling is that can we have an organized conversation with radical people saying that now these are the radical shifts that we want.
Then we manage them.
Yes.
We manage those radical people. Now we shall achieve the radical idea.
We get radical progressively. Is that what you're saying?
That's what
we progress to it. That's not how radical works.
No, you people want to put me on a corner and say that let the young people come on the streets and let us overhaul the government from parliament to the judiciary and from state house and let us impose our people tomorrow. And then let us bring all the policies we want in judiciary and in parliament and in state house, in the executive. Let us bring all our ministers and let us start working from there.
That's what radical is. I'll give you an example.
Yes.
Some years ago, well, let's just go back in the Kibaki era. There was a judge called Aaron Ringera.
Yeah.
He'd been given a job by the then Chief Justice to look at corruption in the judiciary. Justice Ringera came up with a list and said, from our investigations, we find that these individuals are unsuitable. What followed was that called radical surgery of the judiciary. Those judges who were on Ringera's list went home. CRTO, let's have a conversation, let's work on a transition. They can't just leave and leave office empty. We shall allow them to stay on for 2 years as we exit them. No, leave now, go. Okay? When we had police reforms after our 2010 constitution, one of the things that happened was vetting. Okay, again, judges. Vetting of judges and magistrates. It was radical. All judges appear before the vetting panel. Those that are found to have questionable character, leave now. Not at now, we shall work on a 5-year, leave now. As long as Justice Sharad Rao has named you and said you are out. Okay? Same thing happened with the police. Leave now. That is radical. Radical is
See, Latif,
tukisonga.
the problem is, and I want to say this, I want to confess, that even as a people, we don't know what is ailing this nation. So today you will ask Davis what is ailing this nation. I'll tell you a different thing from what Janet will say and from what you will say. And we don't have the alternatives. People don't even agree on the alternatives. You ask people, okay, you want to remove Dr. William Samoei Ruto. Who do you want to get into office? They will tell you, even if you give us a dog, we will vote for that dog. So then you wonder, you want to vote for a dog to lead this nation? That is how low we've stooped. So
that is radical.
Okay, it's radical, but that's why actually that's why ODM got into broad-based.
Because ODM is not radical.
No, actually we looked into the future.
Okay.
We looked into the future and said, okay, if we remove Dr. Samoei Ruto, what next for this nation? And then we looked into other countries, the Somalias, the Sudan, and we analyzed this country. We said this country is ethnically divided. So the Kalenjins, let me just say the Kalenjins, will say now they've removed our person from office. The other people from the mountain have removed our person from the office. So they will arise a conflict within the ethnicities. So we foresaw a nation that was going to be divided along tribal lines, and there was not going to be stability in the country. And Eric Latif, we better have a country first, then start bargaining on
the
progress.
Yes.
Hence the center left.
Hence the center left.
Yes.
Not radical left.
Not radical. Let's pause there. And we're not putting you in a corner, Davis. Actually,
okay.
We love how you're thinking.
We really like how you're thinking. So we're engaging you.
Okay.
And yes, it's about what does that look like? And you've raised some valid points where in some cases where radical has been the order of the day, then the country has suffered quite a bit. But at the same way, can things continue the way they are? But we're with Davis Oluoch on youth leadership, party politics, and the future of participation. He wears several hats. In fact, I'm very curious to find out which hat influences the other the most, and what your observation of leadership outside the country, how can that lens be applied here if need be? But it's coming up to 9 a.m., fixing the nation one conversation at a time. Eric Latif, Janet Bogwa, Mariam Bishar will be back with us soon, but it is coming up to 9 a.m. Keep talking to us. What do you think needs to happen in this country for there to be a shift and make our young voices lead in that regard? Back in a moment. We're back in conversation with Davis Oluoch. Enoch Ngugi on YouTube says, Davis, my classmate in Masai Mara, kudos. Do you remember Enoch Ngugi?
I know Enoch Ngugi. We were in the same class.
Amekusalimia.
Entrepreneurs.
Yes. Eric just brought us back to this milestone anniversary for ODM, 20 years. And I like that he said you were 7 years old
Exactly.
when ODM was born. Tell us about how you got in. How did you learn about it and say, you know what, this is the party for me? Because you could have gone to any other.
Of course.
You chose ODM, or maybe ODM chose you. But how did you get there?
I was never born a politician. I was a very shy person in primary school, in high school. I got into politics in the university, and it's because of the people from my community. So I was born in the village, somewhere called Nyakach, and these people, after I'd finished my high school, they gave me some money. Some people came up with 20 shillings, 30 shillings, 50, 100 shillings, 1,000 shillings, and they sent me to school at the university. And they said that when you go there, after you finished, come back and help us. So when I was on third year, I started thinking, I reflected on this gesture, and I said, these people believed in me. So how could I create impact, or how can I create impact back to these people? And then I had three options. First, I could be a scout, a professional scout, because I loved scouting so much. Then I could also get into business and then go back and impact my community. But then the third option was politics. And then after analyzing all these three things, I found that politics could provide for me the biggest avenue to impact the people. So after graduating, I prayed to God. After making that analysis, I prayed to God that, God, this is what I want to get into. And these are I also made a list of the demerits and the merits and said, now this is what I'm getting into. So Janet and Eric, I graduated in 2020, and there was an election in 2022. And so as an entrepreneurship is basically being in the environment, looking what is the gaps in the environment and coming up with a solution. So I read the ODM manifesto, and Jacom was running in 2022 for I think the 5th or the 6th time. And I said that I must be part of this. And I wrote a document to Jacom. By that time, I was living in Mount Kenya region. I don't know how I get myself there. It's a story for another day. But then people were saying at that time that Jacom, selling baba in Mount Kenya is like selling pig in Mount Kenya, in Saudi Arabia. And I said that, but I've been living with these people. I can help craft something of how Baba can actually climb this mountain. So I came up with a document, how Baba can climb Mount Kenya. 10 strategies. And then I took these strategies to Chungwa House. And then they told me, yes, this is what we've been looking for, but then we can work with you. And then they brought me to the party. They told me, now you'll be doing our research work, you'll be compiling our reports. And that is how I got into ODM party. That's how I got into politics. And the ODM party has mentored me from zero. They have taken me to places. They've capacity built me, and that is how I got into politics. And I'm looking forward to a great journey in politics, by the way. I'm looking forward to impacting that community. I've still not done what really made me to join politics. So I'm looking forward to impacting that community and impacting Kenya. And over time, Janet and Latif, I gained a bigger purpose. I read books about Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr., and I found that the black people has some cries. The black people are still considered, I think, third tier. We're playing third fiddle. And the African continent is still being regarded as the black continent. And I found a bigger purpose in that. And I felt that we have, as a generation, work to do for this continent and for the black race. So that is what still keeps me in politics. Of course, there's a lot of things that are frustrating, but I'm still there. Yes. So
you still haven't come across the bad side of politics, of Kenyan politics? Sounds like, you've just been introduced to the good side. Sitting room, the
sanitized version.
But those rooms are empty for now. You haven't been taken to where the people are.
I've seen the bad side of politics.
Why is this?
A lot of selfishness, a lot of greed, a lot of people think about themselves. And it's worrying. And that's why sometimes I'm still in politics. Because I feel that me, together with my people, together with my generation, we can do something to change the politics of Kenya and to change Kenya as a whole, and maybe one day to change the continent of Africa. So, Eric, I want to tell you that along the way, I've encountered a lot of challenges. Even in the Orange Democratic Movement Party, yes, sometimes when experts were being given to government, I think there were 5 or 6, and there was no young person who was given there, and I felt bad as a young person. Not me necessarily, but I wanted other young people. We have very many young people who are very good in the party. And even when these not so young people were taken as experts into the government, there were people who replaced them, because Honorable John Badi was the chairperson of the party, Honorable Joho and Honorable Paranya were deputy party leaders. They were replaced in the party, and there was no young person who replaced them. It is, I think, after a year later, when now they gave as one PS, a young person, Honorable Fikrini Jacobs, the Permanent Secretary for Youth Affairs. Of course, we felt good, but I think there's still work to do in terms of youth involvement in politics. Yes.
You are the Secretary General of the Inter-Parties Youth Forum.
Yes.
Which I believe is a forum that brings together youth in different political parties together into one caucus.
Yes.
If you look at all the political parties that you've interacted with, do they have ideologies that would accommodate the youth, or are these parties vehicles for individual political leaders?
Eric, I want to tell you the truth. Since I joined ODM, I've interacted with, I think, literally like half of the we have 90 political parties. I've interacted with half of the political parties. I've even visited their headquarters. And not only here in Kenya, I visited headquarters for the ACT Wazalendo in Tanzania, and I've been in conferences with the DA. We are sister parties with the DA in South Africa. I've been in conferences with the YDA, the Young Democrats of America. And I can tell you we are poor on ideology here in Kenya. And I think it's only ODM that I know its ideology. Clearly, I can tell you this is the ideology of ODM, and this is what we stand for. And this is who we are affiliated to in terms of ideology in the world. I can tell you we are a sister party to who in Uganda, to who in Tanzania, to who in South Africa, to who in Germany, to who in Sweden, to whom in America. But all these other political parties seems to be like vehicles. And I can tell you, we had a People's Dialogue Festival here at Uhuru Park, I think this year. And there were political parties representatives who were at a panel, and they were asked, what is your party ideology? And I had someone say, our party ideology is a 24-hour economy. And I was like, wow, that is not an ideology. So the other party that I think has an ideology is KANU. KANU has been really doing a lot of rebranding, and I think doing a lot of trainings to the young people on what is an ideology. And I've also seen them branding themselves and affiliating themselves with fellow conservatives. I think KANU is a conservative political party. So speaking on behalf of the ODM party, not necessarily on behalf, but as a member, I want to say that ODM has an ideology. And even if we say what, ODM has tried to keep up to that ideology for the last 20 years. You cannot count, for me, 3 political parties.
Wait.
Let's push back.
I have never heard of ODM's ideology being center-left, socialist, progressive. Like being publicly said.
As that.
Before you joined this party,
yes,
did you know that this is the ideology of the party? Before you started joining the campaign for Baba in 2022?
You see, Latif, that's what I started with. And I told you that I didn't join politics for the sake of joining politics. I analyzed my joining politics. And before I joined ODM, I went to social media or to their website, and I downloaded their constitution and their manifestos. And when I met Baba, I think I met Baba last year in his office, I asked him for the manifestos, the hard copy manifestos. I think that is what I came with here. These are the manifestos of ODM from 2007. This is the ODM manifesto 2013-2017. And I read these manifestos. And that is why I still believe in ODM. And I still believe that ODM can still form government in the year 2027. And ODM must live to celebrate its 60th birthday and 100th birthday.
Oh. I guess the question I'm asking is,
yes,
you see, you've given us the example of KANU.
Yes.
And you told us KANU is on a drive to rebrand.
Yes.
And to take itself to the people.
Yes.
And to take youth and explain to them, this is the meaning of an ideology.
Yes.
And this is our ideology. Do other political parties do the same? Here is the reason I'm asking that, because we are having a conversation about youth and joining political parties and taking over the leadership of parties and, growing the parties into the future. You've got to understand the DNA of the party. Do parties actually explain their DNA to members and non-members?
Let me speak on behalf for the Orange Democratic Movement Party. And I want to say that if you look at the template for the ODM at 20 anniversary celebrations, one of the key things that we are going to launch there is the Raila Odinga Leadership Academy. And this academy will be scouting young people from the colleges and universities and mentoring them into parties, and the party, giving them the mention of the party ideology and taking them to trainings. And Latif, I want to tell you that there are institutions here in Kenya, but most of them, and I want to admit, are foreign institutions. They come here in Kenya and they help us train young people. I don't want to count them here, but they do a lot of work training young people on ideology, on political campaigns, on everything. But I want to admit and confess that political parties have not been so deliberate in getting these young people who are very active in student leadership into political parties and training them as this is what this party stands for. This is what we want to achieve. This is our mission and this is our vision. These are our core objectives. This is our organogram. These are our people. These are our friends. These are our enemies. We are not so much deliberate. But I think it is what we want to take ODM to. And Eric, I want to admit that ODM is the first political party that came up with the Youth League, and every other person adopted it. ODM is the first political party that came up with the Women League, and every other party adopted it. ODM is the first political party that came up with a Disability League, and every other young political party adopted it. ODM is the first political party now which is coming up with a Students' League that is entrenched in the Constitution. And I want to believe ODM is the first political party as per our concept, and I don't want to go into our concept for the future. We are going to have a Boda Boda League, because we've gone into research, we found out that we have like over 3 million Boda Boda people. Can we also give them a league? And even teachers.
So they'll belong to Boda Boda and not youth?
Of course. So
many of the Boda Boda are youth.
Oh, yes.
So they'll be members of the Youth League and the Boda Boda League.
That is what we are designing.
And the women will be Women League.
That's what we are designing. So we will design it this way.
You think there's an overlap? Or it's a specific lens on the sector?
What we are saying...
But you're seeing
an
overlap.
That's what I'm saying. You see, within the Youth League, we can have the Students' League reporting to the Youth League first, and the Boda Boda League, if we find out that many Boda Boda are young people, we can bring them under the Youth League. So that is what we are trying to design as at now.
Yeah. Before ODM, was there any other party you considered joining? Did you look at the manifestos or look into the websites of any other parties before you settled on ODM? Or were you just saying, no, I think I'm drawn to ODM specifically?
I want to say the truth, that I was not so politically aware then. So I didn't look at too many political institutions. That one I'll be lying. Yes.
You're focused on ODM.
Yes.
I can hear from what you're describing that there's an ear to the ground, or trying a sense of inclusivity. Women's League, Youth League, Disability League. I wonder how you can amplify for those to be center stage, because I think oftentimes it's diluted by politics and politicking. Are those some of the recommendations as young people sometimes you make and say, can we be issues focused and not personality driven? Have you ever felt that? Have you ever raised it in a meeting, in a session? And if so, what was the response?
That's a tough question, I'll admit. But I want to say that as the rapporteur of the ODM Youth League, and sometimes I overlap and try to advise the party. If I see something is not right, I always write long messages to the party leader. If I cannot get to the party leader directly, I find the closest person to the party leader. And I'll tell him, what we are doing as a party now is not right because of this and this and this and this. And this is how we can correct it. And this is how we can do it. But I want to say this. Behind the scenes, there are a lot of things that happen in a political party. For someone to say one term, there must have been a lot of work that has happened behind the scenes. That is a political narrative. So some people even do research and they come up with statistics and they say that for us in our campaign, let's say Latif want to be member of parliament and you want to come up with a messaging, you must go to the ground and listen to the people and give them 5 options, like what is the key thing that you will want your next member of parliament to address. And then some will say water, education, and then if you sample like 200 and there are things that will repeat themselves, like water, water has repeated itself in like 150 things, 150 people, then you will go with water as your campaign messaging. So I want to say that before you see the politicking side of it, there's a lot of work that has happened for it, even the negative ones. Like someone waking up and saying that the Right Honorable Raila Odinga is seriously sick. It's a campaign message. Maybe they want to achieve something, or maybe they want to do something and then divert the attention of the people. So there's a lot of things that happen before that politicking, before it comes to the real politicking. Yes.
Before I ask you how, because you're also with the international, what did you say it was?
International Federation of Liberal Youth.
Yeah. So that means you on a global perspective, you have a global perspective.
Yes.
I'm curious as to how it influences your lens of youth participation in Kenya. But Eric, do you think we are the ones who prefer to internalize politicking? Because there's this issue where the matters don't really get the platforming that they deserve. Now, Davis is saying, but there's so much that happens behind the scenes. People are working, people are trying to make sure that issues are being addressed. Do you think that if the leaders went on the podium and led with issues, do you think that they feel they would lose quorum?
So it's the citizens who don't care for the issues.
I'm just asking. Sijasema, nauliza.
Yeah, so maybe it's the citizens. So water is the issue.
Yes, let's.
And it has been brought up by the citizens. But then the citizens don't care about that water that's been brought up.
I did say that. You know, I'm asking.
I'm heading towards like trying to see would there be...
Where's the disconnect?
Where would that disconnect be? Or would it be that the politician actually comes here to talk about water to this specific constituency, but what gets amplified for a wider constituency is something else. This constituency, the issue was water. Now, you want to talk about water. So the media and both, legacy media and social media will amplify the other things. Lazima niongee, lakini tukimalizia wacha niongeleshe hii mambo mmesikia ikiongelewa huko juu, mambo ya nini ya Linda Mama. Linda Mama ilikuwa nini, but I actually came and discussed your issues. But then other people who are amplifying the message outside of the room
diluted the issue.
They dilute the issue.
They amplify the
Let me say this.
Yeah.
Someone asked that why is it that people are more depressed in this generation than it were like 60, 70 years ago? Yet in this generation, we have a lot better things. We have phones, you can call your mother back at home or your father. We have aeroplanes and we have good cars and we have good health care than it has ever been in the world before. Then they were answered that it because of the media, that the media like to amplify the negative things. That today if you get on TV, you will hear accident, imeua watu 15, kuna corona, leo nimeona kuna cholera imekuja, SHA ifanyi. So the negative news imekuwa mingi, then people get depressed. The second thing, and I was watching Pierre Lumumba on this show, and Pierre Lumumba gave you people a challenge that can you try and amplify matters or issues or concrete issues for a whole month bila kuweka hizi funeral, hizi watu wamepigana kwa funeral, then just eka issues, tangible issues for the next 1 month. Then it will be then upon the politicians to start crafting their messaging to fit on issues, not on drama. So I think sometimes it's with the media, but also sometimes, and that's what now it's selling. Now, what wakiwa behind the scenes on the political boardroom, we also craft messaging according to what now people will like and according to what the media will carry.
But then on the other hand, the media is responding to an audience.
Yeah.
And there's what the audience is, saying that this is the information that we want, right? So the media is also responding to that audience, the same public that does not want, that wants, this drama, the political theatrics, walirushiana mangumi kwa mazishi ilikuwa nani hataki kujua.
It's a very strange double-edged sword.
That's why we need a conversation as a country. That's why, Eric, that conversation, that national dialogue that the Prime Minister was calling for, that's why we need that national dialogue. Yes.
The conclave.
The conclave.
Where is that now? Is there still a conclave being put together?
Personally, I'm a big proponent of the conclave. I actually designed even how this conclave could happen. But then the young people rejected it.
Do you know why?
I know the reason is not even because the conclave is bad. It is because it was proposed by the Prime Minister, who is being seen as partnering with the President. But the idea of a conversation of a nation is a very noble idea. I don't know why a nation cannot sit together and discuss issues.
But Davis, they argue that we know the issues, that we know it's around police reforms.
Who is this who suddenly so very clever, that knows all our issues? That they know their issues and they know my issue.
Suddenly very clever. Became suddenly when do unajua. I think that's what people were saying. They were saying, we can see the issues playing out in front of us. I'm just taking the example of a voice saying, Davis, I can see the issues playing out in front of us. The issues are that there's human rights violations, there's corruption, there's, it's playing out in front of us. Why do we need a conclave to talk about what we are seeing playing in front of us? And you would say to that person what?
There are issues that we don't need a conclave for, but there are issues that we need a conclave for. There are issues we don't need a conclave for, like
stop killing
the youth, healthcare. But then there are issues of a higher calling. That where is this nation headed? Where did we come from? What were the aspirations of our forefathers? Why is Singapore ahead of us, or South Korea when we were at the same level maybe 60 years ago? So there are issues that we need a conversation for. And there was something that the people are saying, that we've had this conversation, so many of them, we don't need this. That is so ridiculous for me. It's like saying, in high school, I think they go to parades or assembly. That we go to assembly, we went to assembly yesterday, we don't need an assembly today. Or we had a media briefing this morning, we don't need it tomorrow or at night. Or we were at a school and there was what do you call them? The annual general meeting last year. We don't need another one this year. A nation needs to dialogue. And by the way, there are things that have developed. Like there are changes that have happened since 2010 and that needs to be addressed.
We need to take stock and have, what are your lessons from youth participation from other parts of the world that you think could maybe progress some of these agendas? For example, have you seen something like a conclave working in another country? And if so, what did it do for the progress of the country?
I think I've seen conclave work in other countries and even here in Kenya. And that's what I'm saying. For this Constitution 2010, there was a multi-sectoral dialogue. People came and sat down and came up with this constitution. And when I read Jaramogi, Not Yet Uhuru, there were people who went to dialogue, I think in Lancaster and blah, blah, blah. There was a kind of a dialogue, and then we had independence. We had, I think, IPPG, and dialogue has
always been
the vehicle
that takes people forward.
Yes. So I'm wondering why it's so hard for us as a nation to have a dialogue.
I also think part of it was the timing. I think the nation was still trying to heal from some of the very raw wounds that came out of the brutality that claimed lives. Sometimes it's timing.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
The message just came out as diversionary.
I think it came out as diversionary.
This is on the day of Sabasaba, when you've said, I am going to be on Sabasaba, I'm going to be there, I'm going to be in Kamukunji myself. Then you don't go to Kamukunji, and then you come and say, we need dialogue.
But Kamukunji was hot that day.
That's why it seemed diversionary. Let's go back to ideology. Charles Ndungo says, I'm a member of ODM party. And over the past 8 years, I have felt that the ideologies that the party represents are those of an individual, not the foundation that the party was founded on. It goes back to Eric's question about the ideology not really being front and center anymore. And I don't know how we can bring it back. And I think Charles has commented previously when Professor Manyora was talking about don't criticize the party leader. It's because Charles was saying, no, but this is somebody I've believed in. I am part of the party. I believe in him. But I don't agree with where he's taking the party. How do you deal with members who are starting to feel disenfranchised? Maybe you've spoken to it a bit.
He's on the 7 steps.
He's on the 7 steps.
Yeah, Charles is on the 7 steps of grieving. it's before he gets to the point of acceptance. He's at that
Charles,
point.
is that true? Tell us. But so accepting what?
He's going through a journey.
The anger, the sadness.
The anger, yeah.
So where he's coming from is?
He's still at that point of raw anger.
Yeah.
But he let me down. But next step.
But Janet, I think
accept.
Many people viewed ODM as an opposition party. And I'm to tell you, there's something called, I think, sessional paper. I'm not a lawyer. Sessional paper number 10, I think, of 1965, I think, on African socialism. And this paper disenfranchised some part of the country. This paper said that you develop regions that are economically viable, and then the development will trickle down to other communities. And then ODM has been in the opposition, and Eric, I want to tell you, if you listen to Nzioki Waita, was giving, I think, an Engage talk. Engage, I think, is some talk, I think, on Safaris, sponsored by Safaricom. And Nzioki said that, I think he was a state house comptroller or something of the sort.
No, he was the head of the President's Delivery Unit.
Something of the sort.
Yes. and a candidate for governor of Machakos.
For Machakos. And then Nzioki says that he says that when he was there, he saw how the national cake was being cut and delivered to people. And he said that if your community is viewed as being in the opposition, you only get the bare minimum of the national cake. Just what is the bare minimum. I don't have the other word for it. So ODM being in opposition, Janet and Latif, has
been getting the bare minimum.
The bare minimum. And it is not just ODM, like communities viewed as per siding with the ODM. Let's say Nyanza or the Western or the Coast region, being in opposition has also come with a lot of consequences. And then you ask this question, you want ODM to just be that all the time. You don't want us to have a conversation on this issue, but you also don't want to vote ODM, and you also don't want us to correct these historical injustices. So some of these issues, there's a balance of a lot of things. And I also want to agree with Ndungu, and Ndungu needs to know that ODM, and today you've also put it so well, we are at the center left. We are not radicals. If the country is going haywire, if today Al-Shabaab attacks us, ODM will sit down with UDA and any other progressive political party and find a solution and say that this country is now
under attack.
We need to find a bipartisan approach on how we can solve this issue. It is not all the time, Al-Shabaab has attacked us, Ruto is wrong, or Ruto is bad. We can say that after we have dealt with this threat of Al-Shabaab. But you cannot say that when we are being attacked.
We need to have a
so
harmonized
ODM
approach.
is not a radical political party. we are liberal, we are at the center left. So that last year when things were going haywire, we couldn't have left the country. We could have let the country to sink deeper. And Baba asked,
yes, Davis.
Yes,
you've told us. You, as the rapporteur of the ODM Youth League,
yes,
your thoughts were different. Okay?
Yes.
Now you speak like they were your thoughts. Your thoughts, the thoughts of the youth, not thoughts of Davis. The thoughts of the youth then were different. Were not at, you were not seeing the danger of the country going that route, fracturing. You were just seeing the opportunity of change. That's what the youth were seeing, right?
Yes.
But the leaders of the party saw the exact opposite. And now here today you are now espousing the view of the leaders of the party. You've abandoned the views of the youth of the party who are seeing 2024 is an opportunity for change. And change comes in many ways. I'm not sure, I don't think the report that you presented to the ODM leadership then was saying that, let's break this country apart.
Not really.
Let's have a military coup. Let's have a citizens coup. I don't think that's what the youth were telling you.
As if you see,
but when the party leader comes and says that's what they read, that the military came out onto the streets, and so they saw the next thing that they're going to do is the military were not going back to the barracks. That's not, the youth were not seeing that.
As if you were let
today
down.
You're speaking about what the old people were saying.
You see, and that's the conundrum that I was in 2024, because the youth were saying this, the party was saying this, and then you had to analyze all these things and come up with yourself, your opinion yourself. But Dr. William Samuel Ruto let us down in 2024 after he had crashed the finance bill and had crashed the cabinet. That was the time Dr. William Samuel Ruto could have done bigger reforms in this nation. Could have given us the best as CSS, the best reforms in the police sector, the best, because he had that authority from the people. The people really didn't want the CSS who were showing opulence, the CSS who were corrupt. That was the time even when he could have thrown Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen. I don't know if he's corrupt or not, but if he could even have thrown him out, he had enough reason to tell Honorable Kipchumba, the young people want substance. So Honorable Ruto let us down after that. But I want to say that I had to marry all these thoughts, the young people's thoughts and the party leaders' thoughts. And if I want to say that the sun was the same in 1963 and is still the same today. So there are things that the experienced people have seen that we have not seen, that if they sit you down and tell you that, Davis, of course you can see this in the short term, but this is what can happen in the long term. So I had to marry all this information at the same time.
I can understand and hear where you're coming from. I see where you're coming from, which is, maybe there's some insights here that I don't fully understand because I haven't been around as long.
Yeah.
What I'm seeing though, and this is global, I feel like a lot of young people have sat with that and then realized, actually,
they do not want to wait for tomorrow.
I don't want to wait for tomorrow. And we're seeing a global push from young voices. Quite literally, we've seen what's happened in Nepal.
Sure.
We've seen what's happening in Madagascar. I do think young people tried to give a chance, from maybe my observation. And then 2024 onwards, they're just like, we've tried. We've waited for reform. We've waited for corruption cases to go. We've waited for basic needs to be accessible. And now we need something fundamentally different. I don't know how far it will go with Nepal. I know that they used an online platform to choose somebody out of about 4 or 5 candidates. That was interesting. And it was somebody who's older, who's been in the judiciary, etc. But that's the sense that a lot of people are getting, even though I hear where you're coming from. So it's that nexus of how long must we wait? Or when do we actually show up and say, you know what, you guys come to the table, we're meeting you halfway. We're no longer waiting for you to show us the way. We're saying there's another way to do it.
See, Janet, that's why I actually agreed with the party leader when he proposed that we have a conversation. And I don't know what the young people understood with the idea of the conversation. It wasn't going to be one way, and it wasn't going to be the last conversation. Even if we atunge agree on anything, tungesema hii tumeconverse, we are still advancing. Like if you read
the issue is still open.
If you read Heart of War, you negotiate as you advance. So tunasema asi tunakuja kwa table, but if we don't agree, we will advance. So what the party did, and Latif, I don't know if you people have reflected on this. This ODM party has been the only party that at least tries to give a solution. That if they say that this devolution is not working, can we give 35% to the counties? Or can we reduce these counties? Or can we compensate victims? Or can we have a conversation on this and these issues? Or, of course, we have been opposed on NADCO and CG 10-point agenda, but at least they are trying to, what is the solution? Like all these other opposition leaders, you will not get them, you will not see them giving a solution that, okay, as Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, I've looked keenly into this country, I've analyzed, this is our problem, and this is what we need to do as a country. Even, and I was surprised, and I really endear former Emeritus Chief Justice, Honorable Maraga. And that day when he was having an interview like this for like 3 hours, I really wanted to see who this Honorable Maraga is and what are his insights and what are his aspirations for this country. But I sat there and he was being asked about what do you see as the economic revolution of this country. He said that we have empaneled a task force that will give us what this country could be in terms of economy. What do you think about this? He did not have concrete solutions for this nation.
At that point.
At that point, of course. But then...
Maybe the panel has not given him the point.
But you see, Latif, if you want to be president, before you say that I want to be president, you need to know what is ailing the country and at least some basics on the solutions. He didn't have that. And that's why this ODM has tried to give us solutions. And Janet, that time, we were called on to a national dialogue. And Eric, you are a very good moderator. You could have been the moderator of that dialogue. It was not supposed to be, we are going to State House to dialogue with Honorable Ruto. We were the people who were supposed...
down, Eric.
We were the people who were supposed to... We were the people who were supposed to come up with the grounds. We could have not gone to State House. The moderators, even if Eric were to decline that invitation, we were to get someone from outside the country who at least could have been neutral.
Let me say, I have said that this country needs a dialogue.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Call it conclave, call it whatever.
Yeah.
This country needs a dialogue. They conned us with the BBI by bringing BBI to us without a dialogue, and that's why I was opposed to BBI, because I think we ought to have that conversation as a people and say these are our issues, this is where we have not been able to implement the constitution, and these are the reasons we have not been able to, so this is what we can do. I think we need that. We need that. The timing of Honorable Raila Odinga on the day after Sabasaba, or was it on the Sabasaba day, to come and say, I did not go to Nini because there were police and they've locked the town, but now we need to have
and therefore
conclave.
we need dialogue. It was wrong.
The timing was wrong.
And maybe it's time to read the room and see when the right time is, or who is the person asking for dialogue. Another pushback people get is young people, let's say, for example, Davis will rise up the ranks, and you started as somebody who defends what the citizens want, and then oftentimes you end up being the defender of the status quo. I think that's another thing that young people fear about being in political parties. So there could be a young person right now who's saying, I wouldn't mind joining ODM, but I fear that I might be co-opted or captured. Intermezwa.
Janet, I want to say the truth. Of course, I admit that sometimes if you stay with certain people for a very long time, you try to borrow in their views. But I also want to say that through these political institutions, and young people who are listening to me should join a political party, through these political institutions, you get to listen to a lot of people. And I was listening to David Osian when he was remembering the late minister who had died, Honorable Dalmas. He was saying that at some point, he thought that he knew an issue or he had an idea. But then when he went to Honorable Dalmas, who was an experienced fellow and a little bit aged, Honorable Dalmas told him that by the way, this idea, we tried it in 1992 and it didn't work. So some of these people, some of these ideas we have had already been tried and tested, but they didn't work, but then we don't know. So when you get to listen to them, they also give you a little bit of perspective and here and there. So some of those things...
some of those people tell you,
yes, it
did not work, so they think it cannot work.
Sure.
Okay, they have not interrogated why it didn't.
And that's why, that if I told you that I even went on the street this year when the party said that we are in broad-based, I still believed that these people, they didn't listen to us in 2024, and they're now telling us we cannot commemorate our fellow young people who died. But when an MP died, they cried like young children. I said that we are on our own. As young people, if we do not commemorate our people who died, then we could have failed them as a generation. So that's why sometimes, most of the time, I go with the generation.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me ask you the question. What do you see in the future of ODM? Beyond Raila Odinga, who are the deputy party leaders? Abdul Swamad Sharif Nasir, and the senator for, is it Kakamega or Vihiga?
The senator for Vihiga.
For Vihiga.
Yes.
So the two deputies.
We are three.
Yeah?
There are three.
Who's the third one?
Honorable Swamad, Honorable Simba Arati.
Yes, Simba Arati.
Yes.
Beyond these leaders, what do you see the next 20 years of ODM? Do you see ODM actually celebrating ODM at 40 as a big, viable political party?
Eric Latif, today is on 20...
Today is
on
the 6th of October.
The year of the Lord, the year 2025. You are sitting with the future of ODM here. And I can tell you that if we manage to bring in the Raila Odinga Leadership Academy as designed, we will see many young leaders trooping into ODM and being trained. And what I can tell you, Eric, I believe in this idea of ODM. And I'm one of the few people, and I'm so sorry to say this, and I know my party leader will not like if I say this. I'm one of the people who believe in the idea of ODM more than the idea of the party leader.
Yeah.
Many people have always said that without the party leader, the Orange Democratic Party. In fact, if you looked yesterday, the Raila Odinga Secretariat wrote a memo that the Baba is in good health. And then Wiper responded to that message, and they responded to the ODM party. And I was wondering, these people do not know the difference between the Secretariat
of Baba.
The Secretariat is so different office, different employees, different ideology. Baba is Baba as an institution. Then we have an ODM as an institution, as a party. So I personally believe in the idea ODM. And I have I've designed ODM at 60. What it can look like, what it should look like, what it will look like, the people we want there, and how we will get to the 60 years. Our logos, how our offices will look. I've imagined the ODM at 60. And that's why I'm telling you...
You'll be 67.
Yes. That's what I'm telling you.
You'll be Raila's, you'll not be Raila's yet. Yes. You'll be 67.
That's why I'm telling you, ODM will live.
Okay.
But until we also make some radical changes in the party.
There we go.
There are people we need to tell that we don't need to see you in the party, but even if we need to see you, we want you not at the limelight. Because sometimes some people wanatuharibia. Mtu anakuja tu anasema vitu zake. Kama watu wanasema ati we are supporting the president in 2027, yet we have a political party that is bigger than UDA. In fact, ODM is bigger than UDA now. With Rigathi Gachagua going with his flock, ODM party is bigger than UDA. If there is someone who should be supported for presidency, then he's an ODM candidate, probably the Prime Minister Raila Odinga, because Raila Odinga is still alive. So the people who are saying that we are going to support Ruto in 2027, I don't agree with that. we have Raila Odinga, we have ODM party, which is bigger than UDA. So why should we play second fiddle, yet our political party is the biggest?
Okay.
So, yes.
Thank you. Davis Oluoch Rapporteur for ODM Youth League. Keep harping on the ideology. I think you're one of the first few people who we've spoken to who is putting ideology above person, which I think it should be. But thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. Before we officially tell you goodbye, Winnie Lubembe and Mary Mikali are going to be Okay. Oh my goodness. First born.
So excuse us. Hello.
What is happening?
Hey.
The dead is in black.
Yes.
What is happening?
Look at your faces.
Are we being
How are you,
first of all,
sir?
you look amazing.
Thank
Are we
you.
being arrested?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Listen. You are talking to an ODM party member.
Oh, okay.
When she sees people in black,
Yes.
when she sees people in black entering a meeting, you are bound to give this guy. He is the future Secretary General of the party.
We're here to actually protect you.
Yes.
So, yes,
Yeah.
feel safe. But to arrest this too.
This too.
Okay.
Yeah. You're safe. You're safe.
You're safe. Yeah.
Oh, you
That's
guys.
why we're arresting you today.
Why
Yes.
are you arresting us?
Because. Yeah. This week. Okay. Yeah. Speaking to the fixing the nation mic. We are fixing the nation.
Go ahead.
So this week is Customer Service Week.
It is.
And on Monday,
Yes.
we're supposed to wear men in black. Now we're women
This
in
is the
black.
theme for the day.
So you too.
We are elevating FTN this morning
And
with the
elevating
theme.
their world.
Their world. Yes.
Wow. Okay. So wait, we will process this arrest.
So we are the customers.
So today you're talking about the burden of firstborns.
Yes.
Okay. Who is the firstborn here?
I am.
By default.
By
By
default.
default.
By
Yes,
default,
but-
yeah.
okay.
I'm
But-
a second born, but well.
So umekuja kujitetea.
Sisi
on the show today.
tumekuja kujitetea na pia tujue kama kuna tabu mahali and how to fix it.
Yes.
Oh my. As we process the arrest from the fabulous ladies in black, from us, Janet Bogwa, Eric Latu, Mariam Bishar, thank you for watching Fixing the Nation on NTV. Staying with us on Nation FM. Vibe Shift is next with Brian Asali, Claudia Naisabwa, and our ladies are here for your world. Mambo, your firstborns. Should parenting be done different? Thank you and happy Customer Service Week. Right? Happy Customer Service Week to everyone. Have a good one.
See you shortly
See you
in
in
your
a bit.
world.